It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you too.
Where are you
Um,
located in the world?
I am in Bellingham, Washington, Washington State, which is living up to its reputation and totally raining right now. But normally you'd be able to see uh yeah, see it's just rain. You can't see anything right now. Normally you can see Canada out there.
Oh, but beautiful trees though, and great view.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I love about this state. It's just covered in evergreens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, welcome. Have you experienced coaching before?
Oh weird. It's like the color. There we go. I've done like a session here and there, but not on a regular basis.
Okay. And how did you find me?
Girl boss.
Got it. Well, hello, fellow girl bosser.
Hey.
I've just been following Sophia Amoroso, and she just launched her business class and all that. And it's kind of funny that she started this thing and then she left.
Oh yeah, she's kind of doing coaching now, right?
She's got a group coaching kind of class or course, I guess, maybe.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
love Girl Boss, and I love the people that I've been meeting there.
yeah, me too. I'm glad it's a resource that exists and that they're maintaining it.
Indeed. Okay, so what made you want to get on a call today?
Well, mainly curiosity. I saw your post and I thought, okay, I want to see what that's all about.
Okay,
Learn what see what the process feels like for me
okay,
and if it makes sense to incorporate into my like life routine basically.
okay. And I post a lot of things, so tell me what exactly did you see that triggered you?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was about this signing up for this session specifically.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so this session is all about us helping you to it's the impossible goal. It's what you want to create, right? And so
Okay.
what that's like for you. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and I begin every coaching session like this, what I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to take a really deep breath in. Take a really deep breath in, and then I want you to breathe all the way out. Imagine that you're pulling all the oxygen out of the room when you breathe in, and you're cleansing it with your lungs and your light, and you're sending it all back into the room. In this moment, you have all the time in the world. Everything waits for you. Just take a few cleansing breaths here. Let's 4 or 5 breaths here, and there's no rush. As you're breathing, notice what your body feels like. Notice if there's pain, is there discomfort, anything feeling stuck. Notice where there's tension. And just take a few more really deep breaths in here. Let's say 3 more. Nice and slowly. And when you're finished, keep your eyes closed and say okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, from this place, notice what you hear. Notice what you feel. Notice what you taste. Notice what you smell. And notice what you see. And take another deep breath. Notice all that your body and your senses are giving you information. And I want you to put one hand on your heart and ask your heart, what does it want most in this moment. When you have an answer, and there may be more than one thing to come up, there's no judgment here, just noticing. When you have an answer, say okay.
Okay.
What's your answer?
To be done with a few of the projects that I have open right now.
Say that again, to be done with?
Yeah, to be done with the projects I have, a few of the projects I have open right now.
Okay.
To have reached the finish line, if you will, on some exciting stuff I'm working on.
Okay. How will you know you're done?
When it's launched.
Okay. And why is that important for you to launch this into the world?
Because I like building things that a lot of people will interact with. I like seeing how people respond to the platforms and products I create. And I like knowing that I've built something that influences the lives of people all over the world.
Tell me about this. What is it that you're launching into the world?
Well, there's three things right now, two of which I actually can't discuss. One of which is a security platform for crypto, so that it makes it easier for people from all I want to say like all backgrounds. So even if you're a crypto native or you're not a crypto native, if you're not a crypto native, it'll make it easier for you to understand and get set up with cryptocurrency and use it for different platforms, and also make sure that you're safe while doing that, so that you're protected against anti-phishing schemes and other malicious attacks.
Sounds exciting. Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I like the space. It's gotten super exciting over the last few months even.
Yeah, I've been following that. So, why is it important for you? Why do you think your heart is asking that you be done? Sounds like you're on.
Oh, because right now everything basically exists in my head or in a prototype that I'm working on, and I don't get to see how people react to it at scale, right? And I like seeing what happens when you put it out there in the world. So it's kind of like a little bit of impatience where I kind of have like all this like pent up energy and excitement of this thing that I'm building, and I want to see what it does and how it works and how people react to it.
I want to key in on what you said, at scale. What does that mean to you?
Well, right now when I'm building prototypes, I'm only doing user tests on a few dozen people. And once it's out there in the world, depending on the kind of reception it gets, we're talking like hundreds of thousands of users around the world, right?
Is that what you want? Hundreds of thousands of users of your product?
I want the people who do interact with it to enjoy the experience. And I want that to be a meaningful number of people. There's not like a specific number I'm attached to. I just want it to get out of the sandbox that is, a few dozen people that I'm testing it on.
Got you. Okay. Sounds like you're on the journey. Sure, there's some impatience. Okay. Gotta bake some too, right?
Gotta bake them.
Gotta bake some, like you're building a cake or you're making a cake. You put the elements together, but it also has to bake some, right, before it's ready.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing
you're
else
right.
to do, right? And
Yeah,
so what's the urgency then?
that's a great question. I always have a sense of urgency, and I couldn't tell you why. I like as soon as I start something, I want to know what it looks like, right? Like I don't know if it's curiosity or I don't know, this like pressing need to see it through to the end and to get to that point. Um, and and I enjoy the journey as well. Like I enjoy working on the project. I love what I do. There's I just always have like this sense of urgency in everything I do. I'm not entirely sure why. It could be because I've been working in startups for as long as I remember, and that's like the mindset that I know, right? Like that everything is urgent and needs to be done yesterday, or else, XYZ, right? Like we run out of funding, or the competition launches it, or whatever, 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 right? Like they're all artificial pressures, but it could just be ingrained in the way that I think now that gives me this feeling that everything needs to be done right now.
Do you like this way of feeling?
I so I'm going to say yes, but that could just be because I've been conditioned to be used to it. Like it's my comfort zone, right? It's just what is normal for me. So anything else might feel a little weird. Not that it's necessarily bad. It's just not what I'm used to. I kind of like the time pressure, if you will. Like it's motivating, it's energizing. It results in me getting things done really, really quickly. Um, I don't know. There's like a mild anxiety about it too, but I don't know that I would consider that a bad thing. Other than I feel like I should think it's a bad thing.
Hmm. Why is that?
Um, I have this perception that a lot of people don't think it's healthy to live under that time pressure, or to even want to work as much as I like to work. There's a lot of articles out there about work life balance, and friends and family will be like, oh, it's good to you know not work as hard, right? So I think it's like the feedback I'm getting from my environment or my community, or just people in general on the internet who write articles, that gives me the impression that it's um, that my drive may be unhealthy, or should be considered undesirable in some way.
Okay. So let's notice that. There are plenty of external authorities who will tell you what you should feel, what's right for you. It's too much to have a drive. The authority should be your body. Do you like that's your internal authority? Your authority is your body, not everyone else, right? So, do you like driving? Do you like this sense of drive? And maybe a better question is, how does it feel when you are in this sense of urgency?
Exciting. It feels exciting. But like I said, there is like the mild anxiety, which when removed, like when the things I have to do are done, there is a sense of calm's not the word. It's like relaxation. Like, okay, cool. You can chill a little bit. But then then I get bored, and then I want to do the next thing. So
So after you finish, we've lost your lighting again. I think it's because the windows are all behind you. Um,
yeah, as long as I
let's
like
let-
this somehow resets it, it's really interesting.
um, so after at first there's excitement and anxiety, and then after the fact there's relaxation, there's some chill, but then there's boredom, and then it sounds like a cycle that repeats,
Yes,
and then
definitely.
go go go.
Hmm.
Boredom, you feeling being bored, that makes sense. Are you bored easily?
I'm yeah. I think
No
so.
judgment. That's not a
Yeah.
judgmental question.
Yeah, no, I didn't take it as such. I was trying to think of like what is the alternative, right? Like what is not being bored easily, right? Like do I even know what that's like? I just don't know that I have a comparison to say that it's easy or not easy. Like
Got you.
I like have this need to do things and feel like I'm I'm productive in some way, shape, or form, and contributing to society on some level that makes me feel good.
Makes sense. Again, the body is your ultimate authority. So, um, the Japanese have a term, and I'm going to get it wrong. I'll have to find the term. I can see it.
Okay.
Igeya. I'm going to mess up the term, but the term is basically you can be you can engage in the art of doing nothing, or you can also engage in the art of being busy.
Is that ikigai?
Ikigai. Thank you.
Okay.
You said it better than I did. Thank you. Clearly, I'm not Japanese. And here's the thing: finding your lane and your style. I am bored easily. I can confirm I am bored easily. I want to be intellectually stimulated. I require it.
Yeah.
I'm a creator. I must create. I'm happiest when I'm creating, whether that's conversation or transformation or programs. I'm happy when I'm in that really intense zone of journeying up to figure out what's next and then bringing that down to fruition. That's where I live. But that not without alignment to what's right for me and what's not right for me, I can be very much so in a go, 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 do kind of place. And although I'm creating, it doesn't feel good. It feels pressurized. I feel anxiety. But when I'm doing exactly what I need to do at the pace that's right for me, then
Mhm.
it's exciting and it's freeing and it feels light.
Okay. It sounds like you and I have similar like dispositions, Like what you just described, I'm completely aligned with.
That's why I say to you, your body is your barometer. Maybe that's a better way to say it. So if you love going, doing, great. I'm also going to ask you then, how do you balance it with periods of rest and relaxation?
I think I try to cram all of that into the same time space, if you will. I think I just try to shove as much life into the time I have available as humanly possible. So, I'll be working while traveling at the same time and meeting up with friends and and trying to coordinate all these social activities and go to friends' events and all that. Well, in like those in between moments between like, okay, there's an event. At some point, I might step out of the event, get some work done, and then go to the next event, and then hop on a plane, and so on and so forth. Um, it's like variety of experience, and I'm getting the socialization in. It doesn't feel like rest. It's like a break from work, but it still feels like going. I don't know that I do a good job of consciously setting aside time to not do things, to sit in the space of just, taking a break.
In which case, again, if your body informs that that pace is fine for you, cool. What I just heard you say is that it's not really rest.
Yeah.
And that's a place to look. So, one thing that comes out is sometimes survival mechanism shows up. Our survival mechanism shows up as I need to always be, you said, I need to be productive and contributing all the time. Well, that's a belief. And if you believe that, then it might be hard for you to rest. Because
Hmm.
even when you're resting, does it feel guilty when you rest?
Oh yeah.
What's the thought that comes up for you when you're resting? The guilty
I'm not,
thought.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not, I'm not forwarding anything, making progress on anything. It's doing nothing. Feels
And,
really
and what's
useless.
wrong with that? Not doing anything.
There's only so much time. So it feels like wasting valuable time.
Let's notice your words. You're wasting valuable time.
Hmm.
There's only so much time. That's scarcity.
Hmm.
What happens if you run out of time?
Dead, I guess.
And what else?
Well, nothing. I can't do anything after that.
Okay. So are you afraid that if you don't accomplish what you need to accomplish and you run out of time, you'll die? Okay, but death is the absence. So the death is the absence of life. There's nothing that happens there. You run out of time. Okay, can you let that be okay? What happens if you run out of time?
I mean, yeah, there's really nothing to be done after that. So can I be okay with it now? The thought of running out of time and having not feel having felt like I didn't do enough or didn't achieve something that feels satisfying to me. I mean, it won't matter, right? Like my thought process here is I'll be dead, so I won't be doing a lot of thinking or reflecting about any of this. So theoretically, then I'd be fine with it. Leading up to that, I don't know. I have to feel good about myself. I have to feel like I've achieved something I'm proud of.
Notice that. So it's not really death if you don't achieve something you're proud of before it's too late.
Hmm.
Okay? That sounds like a fear belief.
Yeah.
What happens? What's the worst part of that if you don't achieve something that you're proud of in time?
I mean, the worst part of that is I just don't feel great. Like I don't feel good about myself.
Who else in your life? Was there anybody in your life who was disappointed that they ran out of time?
I don't not on like a grand scale. It's not like I was at anyone's deathbed and they were like, "Oh, I regret never having done this." It's more like a ongoing fear that I think or I sense or get the impression that a lot of people have that there's there are things they want to do in life and they don't know if they'll achieve those things or if they'll have enough time to do it.
Does anyone come to mind?
Yeah, I suppose a couple people come to mind. This coworker I had my first job out of college, she was always talking about how she wanted to be a writer. And and she would say like, "Oh, next year I'm I'm going to quit my job and then I'm going to focus solely on writing. And she told me she said that to herself every year. And I asked her how long she'd been working at that company, and it was 8 years. So she went 8 years telling herself that every year she would quit and focus on writing, and it just didn't happen, right? And that's a long time. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know if, like, at some point, maybe 4 years in, you just get hit by a bus and then you never did the thing that you say you want to do. Or, you know, a family member of mine always talks about going living in the Philippines, and I've heard them say that for maybe over a decade, and still not. Um, they're not getting any younger, so uh, yeah, I think it's like a variety. Those are the two that come to mind right now, but I think it's like a whole collection of stories that I hear people tell about what they want to do, and then not getting around to that. None of those people have died yet, so there's not like one person in my mind where I'm thinking like, oh, they really wanted to do this thing and they never did it. It's just kind of like I want to say like low level pressure or anxiety that I feel for them, and that they've expressed to me.
Well, let's be clear. There are lots of ways to die. Lots of, and I don't mean methods to die as much as levels of death. So relationships can die. The time we everything living has a time span. So ultimately, relationships can die. You have a place as there's a death of sorts. What happens when you go from being a baby to a toddler to a preteen to an adolescent? There are deaths that happen at each stage. A stage dies, right? A time period dies. So to be clear, death can happen in many forms. What I hear you saying is there are people who have influenced you. Maybe they haven't physically died, but for somehow there's been some influence that there's not enough time
Mm-hmm.
and you could run out of time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's step back and let's just say let's take the one thought, there's not enough time. Let's take that and flip that. And let's say that you are right on time.
Okay.
Say that to yourself. I'm on time.
I'm on time.
Always.
Always.
If you're always on time and you can't be late, you can't be late. How would you choose to use your time right now in your life?
I would still work on the same things I'm working on. I probably take on less projects so that I could focus. I'd have more focus on the projects that on like a smaller set of projects.
Why is that?
because because there's something really nice about being able to not what do you call it, switch from task to task as often, right? Like to be able to drop in, focus solely on something, do that thing, and then come back to that repeatedly until it's done, right? So it gets the focus and attention that it deserves, or that could really add that touch that makes it really special and unique and really thought through.
So you'd rather spend time on one thing at a time and give it the special touch and focus.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you did that, what would that do for your quality of life and the projects that you're working on?
It would make me feel less scattered, but it would also make me feel like I'm missing out on being a part of some exciting things, you know? But I think the focus, I don't even know what that is. Thanks. I think the focus would be satisfying, like the experience of the focus would be satisfying. So it wouldn't feel like there's as much time pressure. Yeah, I think that would maybe eliminate or minimize that feeling of anxiety that comes along with always going and getting stuff done.
It would eliminate the feeling of anxiety.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm theorizing. I who knows? I could have a different level of anxiety. I could be like anxious that, oh, I'm missing out on this really cool thing because I said no to this project because I wanted to focus on the other one that I'm working on.
But there's always going to be time trade off. But again, remember, in this world, in this new world we're constructing, you're always on time. You're always right on time.
Mm-hmm.
So your energy to feel less scattered, to eliminate the feeling of anxiety, to focus on the experience in the moment would be more satisfying. That means you have to say no to other things. And if it's right for you, you're going to be right on time when you get to the next thing.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing you can lose. And this elimination of anxiety, this feeling of focus, you said creating something special from the focus.
Mm-hmm.
But it means letting go of worrying, letting go of FOMO,
Mm-hmm.
of what you might miss out on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, but what sounds simple enough,
Yeah.
but
um, but there's a lot of exciting things happening in the world, and I like being a part of them.
okay. So then you are making the trade off that you'd rather feel more anxiety, you'd rather feel a little more scattered in order to participate in lots of things versus being special in the moment with focus and the calm.
I don't know that I'd say I'd rather experience those things, but are those the decisions that I make repeatedly? Yes. Am I happy with those decisions? Yeah, for the most part. Do I think it'd be good to experience the alternative? Yeah. Having had moments of that, I know I like it. And I think it could produce better results. Um, but I don't know since I so rarely don't do all the things, you know?
But in some sense, you would rather
Mm-hmm.
if after this conversation you go and you nothing changes with the awareness that there is a possibility of doing something different,
Mm-hmm.
then you are choosing it consciously or subconsciously,
Yeah.
in which case a choice is a decision. So it really comes down to choice. You've never done it before. You never lived in this alternative way of letting go of all the other exciting things to focus, which also requires full transparency. It requires you to be clear on what it is that you really love
Mm-hmm.
to work on so that you can let go and trust that you're going to be right on time for whatever comes next.
Mm-hmm.
Also, releasing yourself that Not everything's for you. Not everything exciting is for you.
I like that.
And if it's not for you, then does it deserve your energy and attention?
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts about this?
I I like I like phrasing it that way and thinking about it when making a decision on whether or not I want to participate in something, especially social activities. Like they don't often, or a lot of the things that come up, like a lot of events, festivals, they don't sound as exciting to me, or they don't feel like they feed me. They don't feel like they're for me. And I don't really think about it in those terms. I don't think about like, I don't phrase it like that to myself. I don't think like, oh, this isn't for me, so I just won't do it. Right.
The challenge I see for you, because you are working on three different things at once, statistically, we don't multitask very well. We don't multitask on each thing as well.
Yeah.
We'll get it done, but it wouldn't be as well, wouldn't feel special, wouldn't have the focus attention as well when we're multi-threaded like this. Humans were not really meant to be multi-threaded. That's for computers. So the question for you then, you said, I want to be done with these projects. That's what you came to the call for. You said, in your heart said, I want to be done. What would it take for you to be done?
Hmm. 6 months of
Oh,
work.
interesting. So you're thinking in terms of time versus focus or commitment or support.
Yeah.
So let's notice that
Mhm.
you are driven by time, not by the other metrics of having something done.
I mean, I measure things in time because I have to report on time allocated to things. So I don't know that I wouldn't consider the project done just because 6 months have passed. Like I would consider it done once it's launched and has had positive reception. So that means iterating until it gets to that point. And at that, even then, like if it's a widely used product, it's never really done per se. You're always improving upon it, but at least the launch will have been done.
But I asked you, I said, what do you need what would you need to be done? And you said 6 months.
Mhm.
Although time isn't really what you need. What you need is to launch, the
Mhm.
steps to be launched, and for you to get feedback on it, for people to be exposed to it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
So it's not really time, it's the milestones.
yeah, yeah.
In which case, those might take 6 months, it might take 3 weeks, depending on what your milestones are.
Yeah, yeah, I just think I'm allocating 6 months to getting this launched and tested with the public.
Right. And that's why I invite you to notice how you orient when things are done. We've already established that you're pretty time focused.
Yeah.
But if you always have the right amount of time, you can let go of how long it's going to take and focus on the metrics of what needs to happen in order for this to be in front of someone. What needs to
Okay.
happen in order for this to be brought to fruition,
Yeah.
which is a different way of framing what your next steps are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What Sorry, there are a lot of things that came up for me. Why is it important to bring these into the world, to launch?
Why is it important? I think they're cool. I think they'll be useful. I think they'll help a lot of people. Um, and I think experimenting with these things and the information that could be gathered from seeing how a lot of people interact with them will help inform other projects in the future, mine or other people's, that could further help more people.
Can I offer you an observation?
Yeah.
I feel like we're talking here at the head level. I think it'll be it'll be cool. No judgment on that. Sure, cool things are useful. But I feel like we're talking here and what you and the way you're orienting time and what you accomplish here. I don't feel that it's coming from your heart. It doesn't come across like this is. It sounds like to me you are good at lots of things. You're doing at what you're good, but you're doing something you're good at. I don't hear you doing what you love.
Um, I mean, I don't know what would communicate that. I do love what I do, and I love all the aspects of it. I love the design, the research, the um, observing how people interact with it. Um, there's, I wouldn't want. There's no other career I would ever want. Like this is, I'm doing what I love to do for a living, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not sure. I mean, it could just be because I've been doing this my whole life. It's not like a novel thing to me, right? You know, like I think a lot of people kind of reserve this thing that they're excited and passionate about for as like a hobby, or that they'll eventually do it later in life. But I've always been doing it, so it's not like this is just life, right? Like I'm not waiting for the right time to do the thing I love. I just do it every day.
Interesting. And yet you feel that you're running out of time, or you could run out of time, although you're doing the thing you love every day.
I don't know that I feel like I'm running out of time per se. I just, I don't feel like, I don't know if I feel like I've done like the big thing that will make me feel satisfied with my contribution to life, you know? And I don't know that I ever will. I feel like that's like uh maybe like a moving target, you know? Like even when I do accomplish something that I may have been proud of while I was working on it, when it's done, it's done. And then I feel like I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm not doing anything productive with myself anymore, you know?
Is it possible that you're looking for the satisfaction in your external environment when it actually is an inside job?
Um, am I looking for satisfaction from my external environment? I mean, I would say I'm looking for it. Like I want it to exist internally, right? Am I looking for it externally? I'm looking for external cues, but not for the sake of those things existing. It's more like ultimately what I want is I just want to feel good about my life, right? Like I'm not looking for the external thing to happen. I'm looking for me to feel good about my life, and for me, I'm creating things, and that makes me feel good, right? Like and hitting these milestones makes me feel good. Do I ever think I'll ever like do one thing where I'm like, okay, I'm set for life now, I'm always going to feel good? I don't think so. um but it's kind of what that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like if one, if there is like enough that I will have done something where I feel like, okay, like I can rest easy now. I feel like I've made a significant enough contribution to the world where I feel like, okay, my work here's done, right? Will I ever feel that way? I don't know. Um, and if I do, it'll probably be fleeting, and then I'll want to do the next thing. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'll get to a point where I'm just like old and tired, and I'll be like, I'm good now.
Um, Makes sense. Possible. At the same time, I guess my question wasn't very well targeted in the sense of like what you're looking for. What I heard you say is that you are looking for knowing that your life was, that you were contributing and that you were productive.
That I did something meaningful to
Yeah.
me. Like it has to feel good to me. I don't really need someone else's measure of what meaningful is. I would just like to, before I die, be able to think to myself that I've done something meaningful.
How would you know you've done something meaningful?
I have no idea. I don't know. It's
Mm.
like a feeling that I'm hoping for, waiting for, whatever you want to call it.
And these three projects, do they meet that measurement mark?
I think they're part of the path of of getting there, but is there even really one project that would make me feel like that's a huge contribution? I don't know.
If you were talking to someone else, let's say you were talking to someone else like you,
Mhm.
um, what do you think of when you think of meaningful, a meaningful contribution?
Well, I mean, I immediately think of things that solve major problems in the world, and major problems I would define as climate change or um, health issues, income inequality, like addressing major problems that impact a lot of people in a negative way, like somehow eliminating that harm that's being done to a large percentage of the population.
That's a great places to start. It sounds very much so like what I hear is that you want to know that your life mattered to the world.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
To me, really, I mean, there's no one else. No one gets to decide how I feel except for me, right? So it's more like it has to be meaningful to me. It has to be good to me because at the end of the day, I'm the one judging myself, and I want to judge myself. I want to be able to, as my own judge, feel like I have done something worthwhile with my life. Like I've had a lasting positive impact on a lot of people, right?
Yeah. In which case, I think you're speaking to it is that that's an inside job, how you feel about your impacts, your lasting impacts on a lot of people. Um, sure, there'll be things that you do that give you that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but you can also have that feeling right now.
What do you mean?
So, lasting impacts on a lot of people, probably, I would bet that you can look around. If you come from that place intrinsically, that you want to have a lasting impact on people, very likely you already have an impact on people because that's the place you come from. That's the mindset that you lead from.
Okay, lasting positive impact on the world in what I would consider significant, right? So I don't mean my immediate circle. I don't mean like my friends of friends, my family. I'm, I mean like people that I won't even ever interact with. I want to have had like taken the actions, built the tools, made the product, whatever, done something that has a significant lasting positive impact on a lot of people that I couldn't personally reach um, physically myself.
And that's how you will know that
I
the
mean, maybe I don't know, right? Like I could. Who's to say that I don't hit that milestone and then I be like I feel like I haven't done enough, right? Like there'll just be the next thing.
yes, which means you're only ever chasing you,
Yeah. And
right?
I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied.
Yes, which is why there's an opportunity for you to be satisfied now.
Like with the process.
If you're the one chasing you're the only person you're competing with.
Yeah.
So you want to go out and you want to solve world problems, you want to have this impact. Those are beautiful ways of wanting to contribute to society. And at the same time, you don't have proof that if you achieve that thing that you would feel satisfied, that you would
Yeah.
feel meaningful, right?
Right.
So you're chasing you,
Yeah.
in which case it could always be, and I'm going to use the word happy or content or meaningful, it could always feel just beyond your reach.
Yeah.
So the invitation is to let your life be meaningful enough right here.
Okay. I think I see what you're saying, right? Like if I'm chasing me, I already have me, right? Like I'm here. I'm living with myself. Um,
Even as you say it though, you're just like, yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, no,
right?
no.
Like there's like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
no, and I don't mean it in like I don't intend for my tone to communicate any kind of disrespect or anything like that. It's more like me just processing this. I don't know that I'm in a place where I can sit down and really think like, okay, um, I've achieved what I need to achieve right here. Like I've done what I'm meant to do in this life, like in this moment, right? I don't feel like I have that yet in this moment.
And that's fair because it may not be time for you to know,
Yeah.
okay? In which case, going out in the world to focus on how to go do stuff
Hmm.
may or may not get you to the place you want to be, which is having the feeling that your life was meaningful.
Hmm.
But instead of doing, having, worrying about time, there's another place, there's an alternate way to be. And that is, I'm going to show you this triangle.
Okay.
At the top is the word be. You may not be able to see it very well. Do and have.
I actually thought that said love.
Love. Yeah, sorry, handwriting.
No, okay.
That's be, do, have.
Okay.
Today in this conversation, we've talked a lot about doing and
Hmm.
having, right? The
Hmm.
sense of meaningfulness of having had an impact, climate change, health issues, income equality, and all the things you need to do in order to have.
Yeah.
But the contentment is up here.
Mm.
So you can't have contentment, you become content.
Yeah.
And that you can do, you can be without doing,
Gotcha.
without
Yeah.
having. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I
Now,
like the.
thank you. Well, the counterintuitive piece is it that we feel like we have to do to have, when in fact we have to be in
Mhm.
order to be clear about what to do.
Yeah.
And up here is where you're talking, but down here is where we've been talking.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So the invitation is, if you're chasing you, how can you be satisfied? How can you be in that place where imagine that you already have it. You already have the sense of meaningful life right
Okay.
now.
Okay. I like that as a thought exercise.
Who would you be?
I don't imagine I'd be much different.
Good. Good. Because you the person is you are already who you need to be.
Hmm.
But if you're very focused on doing,
Hmm.
it's really important to float back up, to take regular time to float back up to who you choose to be.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Thoughts
I like that.
thoughts about this?
I like I like the idea of just putting myself in that mindset of I'm already the person that I would be at that point once I've done all the other things anyway. So to like sit in there, sit in that headspace and enjoy that and experience that and take myself out of the momentum or energy or headspace of constantly doing, right? Like constantly doing for the sake of having achieved something and transcending that and just and accepting or realizing and really feeling into that I it's not going to change who I am.
Exactly.
Which you know like frankly does uh alleviate a lot of pressure or anxiety. Like it's not, it ultimately won't change me in that sense. Like I'm still the same core person
Yes.
I am, and I'm pretty happy with me. So it's not like I'm not looking to change me on some like core level. So I'm already there in a sense. So there's like a that removes a lot of the time pressure that we were talking about earlier. If you just kind of accept like, okay, you're already who you need to be and you'll always be on time. That mindset does like even saying it, I I don't have like the little low level anxiety that I was describing earlier.
So remember how I said some minutes ago, your body is your
Mm,
barometer.
yeah.
Anytime there's tension, anxiety is often experienced in the body as a tamping down. Feel it's like
Mhm.
a shaking, something that's being suppressed, and there's a shaking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So the idea being, if you're feeling anxiety, then there's something that's being suppressed that needs to be freed.
Hmm.
And when there's the absence of that, that goes away. When you're not feeling oppressed by time or anything else, you can be free to be who you are, and that feeling naturally evaporates,
Yeah.
right? So the idea being, you're never going to do enough to be whatever it is that you want to be. You already are those things. The intention setting is to decide to how you to stand confidently in your power to be who you naturally are, and what you need to do in order to have what you want will become really clear.
Mm.
The CEO that has made the seven figures CEO is not doesn't become a new person when they reach seven figures. They are in the process of being who they are, and it naturally they do the things that create what they want to have. Same person,
Mhm.
different bottom line, but intrinsically, for example, that milestone is only going to amplify who they are. It's not going to change it.
Yeah.
So as you're out here in the world doing different things, notice that the things that you do and ultimately the things that you have are going to amplify who you choose to be. They're not going to change who you are. So if you don't have that sense of contentment, if you're feeling like your life does not have enough meaning, or you're concerned about those things, that's going to carry with you regardless of however much impact you make in the world.
Mhm.
The invitation is for you to do it now, to be in the place now where you are settled, and then everything else will come.
I like
Right on,
that.
right on time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Any thoughts? Anything else coming up for you?
I mean, so I have like the mix of thoughts where I'm like, okay, I like that as a thought exercise. Does it make me feel good? Yes, definitely. And it's like a nice calming experience, even just thinking it through. Do I know me and know I'll like keep going through the cycle of feeling like, okay, I need to do something, and being like, okay, maybe I'm burning out or whatever, like just keep doing this. Um, but also having this as like a tool set to use to alleviate the anxiety that happens during the cycle. That's comforting. I also know, like that'll I'll slip into this behavior, right? Like I know me. I've been doing this for ages. It's not like one one mindset call is going to break decades of uh, habit, right? But it's nice to have it there and know that I can apply that at any time to kind of step out of that cycle and and look at it from a different angle.
And I can help you with tools. That's why I have a job, to help people to intercept that cycle, recognizing it. Hey,
Yeah.
right? And also, how can I clear it now? How can I recognize it? How can I clear it? How can I be different
Hmm.
when I choose it, right? For some other outcome. As you said, decades of habit. How do you shift a habit?
Yeah.
And from the place that allows you to do what it is that you want to accomplish, but starting with the being.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're clearly really good at coming up with tools for the people you're communicating with. Because like even the way you presented that to me, I'm a very visual person, and the way you described it and set it up and framed it, that's really helpful, and and is useful. Like it feels like very targeted, useful specifically for me in my situation, which I'm sure you've used the tool a bunch with a lot of people, but the way that you presented it made it feel very tailored.
So we can talk about tools and what next steps for you in a moment. But before we do that, I want to just ask you, what's your biggest takeaway so far?
My biggest takeaway is that I am already there, right? Like I'm thinking of things in linear time, and if I think about things, if I take myself out of this linear mindset of time, I feel better. I feel like the things that are to come have already happened, and that I'm already where I would be once events take place, and it's a matter of taking my mind or consciousness out of the step by step linear time frame that I'm used to, that I measure things in.
And how does that feel, that shift?
Empowering, um, all knowing. It it feels powerful.